All right, Shalom. All praises, all glories, all honor go to Yahweh Basham Yahweh Shai. Double honors to the apostles, the great millstone that rule well, and peace and blessings to the elect. Uh, have another edition of GMS News and Prophecy. This is from CNBC.com, and this is titled Dow closes down 600 after Brexit surprise. Financials post worst day since 2011. And I believe in 2011, I, I, I remember that was around like August. The Dow Jones went down between like 300 and 500 points at the time, and and the markets was in a shambles for a couple hours, and people were scrambling, running around, talking about this future trend in the economy and that future collapse or whatever. But this just goes to show you that whatever goes on around the world affects America and other countries, man. Like everything is linked and it's based off the dollar, and the dollar is the world reserve currency, and then you have these other major currencies that these other nations use worldwide, such as the euro. You know, these things affect the economies of other nations, man. Other markets. Okay, so it goes on to say, U.S. stocks plunged more than 3% Friday to end in the red for the year so far after Britain surprised markets by voting to leave the European Union. Now, this is of course prophecy, man, because the scripture says that the 10 toes that Nebuchadnezzar saw in his dream that Daniel had broken down for him through the spirit of Yahweh Shem Shai. He seen the 10 toes being mixed with iron and miry clay. They were weak, which those 10 toes represent the EU today, okay, and the NATO countries. And right now it's weak, okay. The EU is weak, and now more than ever, because Britain has voted to leave the European Union. So now that union is broken, okay, which makes it weaker as not just the economic power, but as a military power as well, okay. Although Britain is still a part of NATO, but as an economic power is weak, okay. I'm gonna get that scripture. I'm going to go ahead and read it, add it up, but I'm going to go ahead and read it. This is the book of Daniel, chapter 2, verse, I'm going to start at verse 31. And this is Daniel breaking down the king Nebuchadnezzar's dream to him. It says, "Thou, O king, sawest, and behold, a great image. This great image, whose brightness was excellent, stood before thee, and the form thereof was terrible. This image's head was of fine gold, his breast and his arms of silver, his belly and his thighs of brass, his legs of iron, his feet part of iron and part of clay. Thou sawest till that a stone was cut out without hands, which smote the image upon his feet that were of iron and clay, and brake them to pieces. Then was the iron, the clay, the brass, the silver, and the gold broken to pieces together, and became like the chaff of the summer threshing floors, and the wind carried them away, that no place was found for them. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled the whole earth." Verse 36, "This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king." Verse 37, "Thou, O king, art a king of kings, for the power of heaven hath given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. And whatsoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand, and hath made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold." So the head of gold represented the kingdom of Babylon at the time, okay? Circa 575 BC, okay? Daniel 2 and 39. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. Now, the second kingdom, okay, is represented by silver, okay, which was the Persian and the Mede Empire. Because when you go into the history of the Persians and the Medes, and that Perso-Median Empire, according to the scholars, they were the ones that took down Babylon. Okay. Now it mentioned the third kingdom of brass. This third kingdom represented the empire of the Greeks, which started with Alexander the Great, which took over the known world at the time. And this is where you get the four generals that ruled: Seleucus, Cassander, Ptolemy, and Lysimachus. Okay, and they ruled over Greece after Alexander died. Okay. And it says, which shall bear rule over all the earth. Now this is verse 40. It says, and the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. For as much as the iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. Now this represented the kingdom of Rome, or the empire of Rome, started with Julius Caesar. Okay. And after Yahushua came on the scene and the apostles taught the word, Rome eventually fell. And then you had the Dark Ages, and then the Renaissance, and then once these Edomites, these so-called white people, were back in power, you had America be established, or the New World. Now this leads us to verse 41, which is going to explain the feet and the toes of where we are today. Verse 41, and whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided, because when you look at the past Roman Empire, the same countries that were back then today are represented by the EU. Okay, but now it's being divided. Okay, it's being broken up. Look at this Brexit that just happened. Okay, with Britain leaving. So now it's a part of iron. It's a part of miry clay. It says, but there shall be in it of the strength of the iron, for as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with miry clay. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Verse 43, and whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron does not mix with clay. So you can see that the EU is together, but yet is broken apart. Okay, now that Britain has left. So now that strength is weakened by this clay, which is Britain. Okay, it's being weakened. All right. But that was the main point. I just want to just go into the prophecy behind what's going on with this Brexit. Okay. So back in the article, it says it's a combination of at first positioning, plus the reality that this issue is not the most simple to address and something you don't have precedent for, said Lefteris Farmakis, a macro strategist at UBS. It says the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed down 610 points, its 8th largest point loss ever, with Goldman Sachs contributing the most to declines. Same thing that happened in 08 and 09. On a percentage basis, the Dow and S&P had their worst day since August 2015, while the NASDAQ Composite's 4.1% decline was the index's worst since August 2011. With Friday's drop, both the Dow and the S&P erased their gains for the year so far. So it's a total loss, okay? And that's based off of this Brexit, okay? It says the NASDAQ Composite was nearly 6% lower year to date, okay, as of last year. Financials dropped 5.4% in their worst day since August 2011 to lead 9 S&P 500 sectors lower. Okay, so and these are the main points. Like I said, I didn't want to. Well, I don't want to go into the full article. It's not real long, but the point has been made. Okay, um, the economies of the world, the markets of the world are crazed right now. Okay, everything is being manipulated, fluctuating up and down. Okay, but that's all a part of what's to happen to this society. Okay, and eventually, once this place totally collapses economic wise, okay, mainly America, that's when the elite want to introduce this chip, and this may be, and we'll see what happens as the days come and the weeks pass. What ramifications this Brexit does have as far as the financial sector is concerned, to see whether or not they have to they start pushing this microchip as a solution to their economic woes. Same thing with Venezuela. We'll see what goes with that. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna end on this scripture. Let's go to the book of Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter. Okay, let's go to the book of Zephaniah. I believe it's the 2nd chapter. Slack not Zephaniah, Zechariah, the 2nd chapter. Let's go to Zechariah, the 2nd chapter. Okay, because this whole money system is not going to be held up, man. Eventually, you know what? It escapes me right now. Let me just type in some key words here. Because as scripture says, their gold and their silver, okay, Zephaniah 1. Their gold and their silver shall not deliver them in the day of the Lord's visitation. Okay? So this is Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 11. It says, "How ye inhabitants of Maktesh, for all the merchant people are cut down." And that's dealing with these different traders and these different stockbrokers and things like that, dealing with these markets, man. Okay, and these different businesses. Okay, it says the merchant people are cut down, and they are being cut down as these different financial indexes fluctuate over this Brexit. Things are becoming, prices are going to go up, gas is going to go up. We'll see what ramifications it has in the long run, but as of right now, these things are manifesting themselves as the scripture has said. Okay, it says all they that bear silver are cut off. Okay, so this monetary system, based off of this failing U.S. dollar, which is backed by nothing, is going to definitely cause a global economic crisis that all nations have no choice but to look to a new world order. Okay, but just as the elite think they're going to establish it, that's when Yahweh Bashmian Shai is going to take this place out, man, and destroy it. Okay, so let's go back to Daniel the 2nd chapter. Okay, and let's prove that point. Okay, let's go back to Daniel the 2nd chapter. All right, matter of fact, I just pull it back up. Daniel the 2nd chapter. Starting from where we left off. This is Daniel chapter 2. And verse 42. "And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, so the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken." Okay, now based off of this economic situation, this Brexit, okay, the EU is weaker now. Verse 43. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men, but they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. Verse 44, and in the days of these kings shall the Most High of heaven, the power of heaven, Yahweh Shai, set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but it shall break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms, and it shall stand forever. That's the kingdom of Yahweh Shai to come. Okay? The kingdom of Yahweh Shai to come is going to eventually rule over all these nations, man. So the EU must be taken out. America must be destroyed. Israel, that land must be destroyed and brought back. And all these other nations shall go into slavery underneath the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Okay? The Israelites, man. All right? So this place is on its way out, man. Okay? So with that, I'm going to say shalom.